Okay, welcome back. In this video I want to show you one of my favorite anomalies. You'll find it if you search on Nord-Salten 2014 or on the coordinates in the left hand corner, and I'll show you a little bit how it looks and my thoughts on it. So let's just start. Make sure that you have the Nord-Salten 2014 layer enabled and click on the cloud symbol to open the point cloud. So what's different about this anomaly is that it shows up in the original file. It isn't like we saw in the first video in the classification filter. So it's not filtered out by the system. It's open, and if you look at it, it is very peculiar looking. It has this triangular shape, but then there are two triangles on top of each other. So that's unusual. It looks unnatural, but still it doesn't need to be anything anomalous. Might just be an artifact. So what I'll start to do is to see if there's additional clutter that might explain it, if it's part of a bigger point cloud of clutter, and if we enable the clutter layer, then we'll see that there's a lot of noise in this point cloud, but not a lot of noise around the anomaly. So even though there's a lot of noise in this point cloud, it isn't around the anomaly. Let's just enable the other layers as well, so it's not any clutter near the anomaly. So that's a start. My initial thoughts was that this might be sort of a reflection or an echo from the steep terrain, but it's hard to tell. It doesn't seem to match any of the terrain beneath it. So what we might try is to see some of the properties of the anomaly. So to do that, go to select attribute, and then you can look at the intensity. You could also see the intensity gradient, the classification, the return number, and the source. So the source is this flight here on top of the mountain, the blue one. So it does give us a little bit more information about the anomaly, but not enough to determine what kind of anomaly this is. It seems to be stationary. What I've seen in other datasets is that very steep terrain tends to have these sort of echoes, and they will be sort of the same shape as the terrain, but sort of lifted above the terrain. So it would be hovering like a second terrain on top of the terrain. What's funny about this is that this object does have that kind of artifact. So it's just like this object also has an echo in the smaller triangle on top of it, which is very weird. I've never seen that anywhere else before, so I haven't got a good explanation to why that might be. Again, it might just be a double echo, but it's weird. So if anyone has ideas, please leave comments, and I'll try to get back to you. I'll show you a little bit more on how to examine this anomaly using the DTM. So let's go back and look at that. So I've located the anomaly previously, so I know exactly where to find it. That's of course very nice if you're going to look at it, so I know the exact coordinates. If you find an anomaly, I recommend to make a note of the coordinates so that you'll find it again. But what I want to use then is to use these options for the digital terrain model, and more specifically the surface model. That's where the anomaly will show up. So elevation is a good place to start. Kind of hard to see. If we zoom in, you'll notice that this shows up as sort of a triangle also in the DSM model. Let's just turn off this and turn on hill shade. Needs a little bit of time to refresh, and there we can also see that the anomaly shows up. And I made a note of the fact that these points that make up the point cloud seems to be following the shape of the triangle. It's not exact. I tried to export it to a different software where I can look at it more in detail, and it's not an exact match, but it's pretty close aligned to the sweep of the laser. So that's something that might point towards this just being an artifact of the laser. So that's something to keep in mind. And one might also look at is to see the flight path, to see if the anomaly might align with the flight path. This is not the case, not for this anomaly. The flight path, as we examined before, is the one that goes over the mountain. I think it's maybe this one. But anyway, it doesn't align with the flight path. So for it to just be an artifact of the laser and the angle of the laser, it would be probably lining up with the flight path. There might of course be exceptions that I'm not aware of. Maybe the angle of the laser is set up not to be exactly the same as the flight path. Some sort of thing like that, but I don't know. So any ideas, please let me know. I have been doing additional research for this particular anomaly in other software such as Unreal Engine and QGIS, so I'll hopefully make a new video showing what I've found using that kind of software. But for now, if you have any ideas, please leave a comment, and thank you for watching.